Hello, everyone. I am Miko, and I welcome you to the Opportyounity Life podcast, where wonderful individuals share their life stories and their happiness habits and routines for you to get inspired. Every week, you will receive a tool with which you can work on your body, energy, mind, emotions, or spirituality. It is then up to you to pick and choose which techniques you would like to incorporate into your own life. Today we have Judith with us, the founder of Creative Power You, and she's going to tell us all about how to harness your individual power and creativity and embrace your you. Let's dive right in, find out where to get started to make powerful changes in our lives. So, hello Judith. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome. Since I'm speaking with you here and having a great conversation in front of me, I'm just great. How about you?
Yeah, I'm great. So, Judith, you have developed a program called the Creative Power You. What made you feel the need to create such a program?
Oh my God, where should I start? So many different things. But let me start with myself actually, because of course, oftentimes we just encounter things ourselves and that makes us realize something. So it was a bit of the same case here. I have a very, very multidisciplinary background, international background. And so what I did before I studied international management and business Chinese, I traveled the world. I lived in Australia, in the Netherlands, spent a lot of time in the UK, in China, obviously. And I worked in the corporate world. So I worked for HR. I worked for management consulting for big multinational corporations. And I just realized that there was a lot of things which I really didn't like as much. And they really didn't make me feel good as a person. But even before that, I was just a very diverse person. I always had the feeling, where do I even fit in? I always had my own opinion. I always was quite authentic in that sense, if you could call it that. So I had my own head, my own thoughts, and I expressed them. And that was always a bit, difficult every now and then to find that spot where that was okay. And that, of course, continued being in the corporate world. And I just realized I wasn't doing work that I found meaningful, that I found contributing to the world, and that I thought where I was seen as a person with my talents, with everything that I had to give, and that was actually really made use of so that I could apply that. And so I was just feeling less and less engaged, even though I was going after things. I worked in management consulting, and I did a lot of projects there that other people would even consider very interesting. I was sent to China doing different things, but I couldn't really find fulfillment, even though I did a lot of stuff. I connected with a lot of people, networking, and just pitching myself a lot. And I still had the feeling that, first of all, the content was not necessarily what I was fully engaged in, but it was especially also the environment. So I was not doing really well, and at some point I just decided to quit. So I quit my job there, and I was just not very well mentally and physically. So I was really thinking about, what do I want to do? How do I want to continue? So I started my own business, first also in consulting, since I have the international background and the relation to China. I did the consulting work there and started my own consulting business. But after a very short while, that was in 2014. So 2013, I started the business, and 2014, I just realized, okay, what else is there? Like, is that really me? Who do I even want to be in terms of how do I want to spend my time? Work is such a big amount of your time. How do I want to live? How do I want to, bring everything in there? And I grew up very creatively as well. So I had so my mother is an artist and art therapist working in a social area. My father had his own company, being entrepreneurial. So I always had the combination. And the international background, and I realized, okay, there's many parts to me. And I really care about people. I really care about the world and the conditions in this world. And I want to bring that together. So I was going more and more in the direction, first of all, just spending some time doing artistic work, writing music, writing my own stuff. And after a while, out of that emerged something where I realized creativity for me is such an important part to get well, to understand yourself, and to create positive things in the world. So what I did was I created a first version of Creative Power You, which fused artistic elements, or I would even call it arts-based learning elements, creative elements, with personal development. And that was the core, that was the start. It was all about authentic expression. It was about figuring out what you want to do, where you want to go. And so my own journey towards figuring out how can I also be well mentally and physically led me to doing a contemporary dance education, 5-month intensive training, and going into many different directions, from meditation to, as said, creativity as expression, to a lot of physical work, improvisation work, acting work. What else? And I also have the educational background. So I did a lot of teaching, teaching in educational programs, bachelor, master programs. And so I also have the scientific, I really want to find out about things, but I also want to know what's the theory behind it, what's the concept behind it. So I went into positive psychology. I went into learning theory. I went into many different areas where I thought, hey, that could be something of interest. And so the flower bouquet of Creative Power You step by step emerged.
Wow, that's a very varied background. I mean, from technical aspects to statistics to creativity, that's a very colorful mix. So what are the main pillars of Creative Power You?
So what Creative Power You is today, it fuses two elements. So what I saw in people, working with people, was really, first of all, they were not really aware of their own capabilities and where they wanted to go, of their own potential. They were kind of, in this situation, just being like, oh, I can't move, I don't know what to do. And you had to snap them out of that. So that was one element where I thought, hey, helping people to step into their own potential, that's one thing. But what I also realized at the same time, and that also came with my teaching, because I did a lot of stuff on the future of work, megatrends, future studies, technology, and what do we actually need to create a better future on a bigger scale than the individual. So there were the two elements, and I realized in people, and particularly also in women, that they were always interested in contributing, in applying their own skills and their own abilities, their own ideas to significant elements, areas in the world, and creating something that would impact either the environment or the social environment, or just other people in a positive way. So what I did is I fused the two problems that I saw. I saw in people, they were searching for, who am I, what can I do? And I saw situation more and more. We have a lot of problems we created over the last century, and we need a change. And where's the magic here? And I see the magic in the individual. The individual for me is really the key to solve those problems, because we can do big scale political initiatives, but there's a lot of research behind what every individual, for example, in terms of environmental change, consumption, but also just awareness. How do you behave every day in terms of your own health? Like, are you a healthy person? Or do you have to go to the doctor every other day? So there were a lot of different bits and pieces, and I put them together. So it was solving your own problems and solving the problems of the world and fusing that together. And I realized, hey, there's a lot of research on 21st century skills. And wow, that's quite coherent with what I do, meaning creativity. So creativity is a key skill for the 21st century, and also learning how to take agency of your own behavior and the well-being of yourself, but also the collective well-being. So it's those elements, looking at the individual, saying, hey, I don't know what to do with myself. I have a bit of a meaning crisis, probably even. I'm not well, I'm just feeling depressed, anxious, whatever it might be, or just lost in a way. But fusing that also with the bigger picture of what the world needs, I believe, and research also believes that, or says that, where are all of the different points. So what does Creative Power You do? It has the 3 pillars: creativity, power is the well-being part, and well-being in a holistic kind of sense, and you is the authentic you, because if you don't do what is really you, what is your authentic core, you're not going to stick with it, right? And you always have the feeling there might be something more, and there's something within me that I would like to bring out. So those are the 3 pillars. And of course, if you look into your own life and you realize, hey, you try stuff, but it's very difficult sometimes to stick with it, to create a behavior and habits that suit you personally, and that you can really live consistently. So I looked into behavioral science as well, understanding how does behavior work and how can we change behavior consistently, and how can we make it our own system. And Creative Power You offers exactly that. It offers a lot of opportunity for discovery. So getting aware of all of the topics I talked about and giving you the tools, but in the end, supporting you and empowering you to create your own system based on your circumstances, and taking the agency and taking the responsibility to actually do that, but giving you the tools, the underlying knowledge that you know how it works, so that you actually can sustainably change behavior, and that you can actually go in the right direction, because what are the problems, how can I look at it from a more systemic perspective, for example, to not just change one little aspect, but I understand, it's a ripple effect. I have to look at the whole system, right? So all of those things, and Creative Power You has kind of 3 layers, 3 steps. So first of all, we got to build a foundation, right? So you can let people, I think you can see that pretty well in the crisis at the moment. There's lots of people contributing a lot and doing a lot of important work, but they are burnt out after a while because they don't have the foundation to look after themselves. They give, they contribute, and they lack the time and the resources and the ability to just be very stable. So that goes for people contributing, but that also goes for people being at home, just agonizing about what's the future going to bring. Can I create this future myself? What can I do? And there's a lot of skills which I do believe our system does not equip people with, neither the education nor the health nor any other system. And so we have to create it ourselves, right? We have to create that foundation, and that foundation is everything for every other step that you put on top of it, or that you go further. So that establishing that stability is the first part. And then I have something that I can do out there, and now I might have a good foundation. So I can stand stable, but what can I do? And the question is, what can you do, right? So what is your potential? What is it that you even like doing? And what kind of vision do you want to create for yourself? And not just in terms of career vision, or that's my well-being vision. Like I'm just going to, have my healthy lifestyle. But when I'm traveling and I'm at work, well, what can I do? But creating your life as a whole being. And so that means looking inside of yourself to understand who you are, your whole potential, your experience, how it all goes together, like a big patchwork kind of picture that you look at, and creating that vision for yourself for different areas. So holistic picture that is aligned. All of the areas are aligned. And the third step then is, well, based on that, you can take perfect action. So you can identify where are the things in the world that you want to contribute to, what are the causes. So it also has awareness elements, understanding what's going on in the world and what are important causes, and fusing that, bringing that together, you with your own talent and unique treasures, and what is needed to have that positive impact. Ta-da!
That sounds so simple, but it's so complicated.
Yes. And
So,
that's why you get a lot of support while you're doing it, so that you can actually really stay consistent. Yeah.
great. Then can you give us a few examples, or maybe one example or one thing that the listeners could implement into their lives to get started, to build this foundation? What would you suggest them to do?
So, as I said, the first step is always a lot about awareness. Building the awareness about your own life, about your own behavior, about who you are and what you want. And there's lots of different things that you can do. And I don't think that it's necessarily about knowing what is, for example, what is healthy. Yeah. So people know that moving, doing exercise is healthy. People know that, eating the right food, fruits, veggies is healthy. Now, what's the problem? They just know, right? So just do it. And it's just not that easy. So I think the first step is understanding your own behavior. So what I do with people at the very beginning is you do the detective work. Yeah, you look at yourself and you try to rise above yourself and just look at yourself and what you do every day from above, and just like, oh, what's she doing there? Oh, what's she doing there? Oh, that's so interesting. I never noticed that. Yeah. So it's a lot about that awareness work. How do you behave? The little things, oftentimes, the thoughts that you have, and the emotions, and making that very transparent. So what I would recommend is, and you don't need anything fancy, just need a piece of paper and a pen. But look at yourself and your own behavior for a week, probably. And you get a little bit of a picture throughout a couple of days. How do you behave? What's barriers to you? What's keeping you from doing stuff? What is distracting you? What is supporting you? What do you find particularly interesting or supportive in that sense? And figuring out what are the levers of change that you will then have to address.
That's some good advice. So 1 week, piece of paper and a pen, and just see what you're doing on a daily basis. Be very observant.
Yes.
That will help already a lot of people to find where they need to work on themselves. You also have a website.
I think it's an important thing also. You have that in your journal, right? So you can see whatever the categories that you want to use for it can be different categories. You decide what is important to you, but you can, for example, also use a journal like yours and just say, okay, so what are the areas here, and what do I want to look into, and then just look at those areas in particular. So I think that's very, very helpful then.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, in the journal, you have the physical aspect, you have the energy aspect, the mind and emotions, and you have the spiritual aspect. So just for the listeners to know that they can look at their lives like that in these 4 categories and see where to fine tune. You also have a free offer on your website, which is the 3 powerful strategies to boost your energy.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of the start. So I talked about the foundation and the stability that you want to create. because that's all about your energy. And you want to know, and there you also have the one aspect, for example, to look at yourself very much in detail to understand your own behavior and your own motives behind things. So you will recognize that one there, and it's even described in a little bit more detail there. Because if we don't have the energy, what can we do, right? We don't have the energy to look into ourselves. We don't have the energy to contribute to anything. So it's all about that foundation that you want to create in terms of energy. So please feel free. I'm going to share the link with you to look into that. It's about the awareness to listen into. It's an audio training in a similar sense like the conversation that we are having here, just that I'm on my own sharing a couple of things, and you can just, you know, plug it in while you're cooking or anything and just listen to it, make a couple of notes. And that's where you start. Yeah, boosting the energy and doing that every day in little bits and pieces. And that's also what the program, so the big program is launching very soon. And it's a lot about giving you a whole toolbox. And I think in that sense, I mean, we're sharing something here. We're sharing the you, first of all, in our names. So the Opportyounity and the Creative Power You, it's all about you, right? It's not about us. We realize some things, but it's about you as a listener, as a person wanting to go the path. And yeah, offering that and offering a lot of little bits and pieces to, in the end, create the big picture. Because, you know, you probably have started a diet or a fitness program, and then you realize, I didn't do it. Like at some point, I just, you know, I didn't pull through, and people get very frustrated. And so I think that's one essential element that we included, a lot of little small things to help you fit into your day that you can actually really take action, because that's what it's all about, right? Taking the action.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if you want to know more about that, let me know. You can find me on Instagram, Creative Power You is the handle, or on Facebook as well, or also on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Exactly. Check out her programs if you want to be a creative, powerful you. And
.com.
yeah, thank you so much, Judith. It was a pleasure. And I hope you guys check out the 3 powerful strategies to boost your energy level and check out her courses.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a real pleasure, because I find the work that you do and also the holistic combination is so important and so essential. There cannot be enough people doing that kind of work, and even better. So my work is a lot about women, even better to spread that and to, you know, do as much as we can, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.